Now here's the thing: is I would watch other Premier League games that aren't, my team. I would not watch other MLS games that aren't St. Louis City. Maybe Messi. When Messi was first here, that was fun. I watched him because he's Messi. But like I think I can count on one hand the amount of MLS games that I've watched that aren't St. Louis City in my life. I do, yeah, and the styles different. Also, we have a caller on the line. Joshua's
Wait, hold,
on the
Josh, because
line. Just letting you know.
I have something important to say, and I could be wrong about this, and I don't mean to impugn your character, Grant, but I think you could be a soccer snob,
I, you know what, Jim? I think I could be.
right?
But I do enjoy watching. Like I was worked for a team in the fourth tier of the United States, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed doing that for St. Charles FC last summer. That's where I interned. I had a fun time doing that. So maybe if I was part of it more, I would be less snobby. But if I'm saying if you have my time to sit down and watch a 2 hour game, I can be snobby.
I'm not. I'm not wearing a. I'm not wearing a. I'm not wearing one of those scarves. I'm not calling a roadkill, but I am all in for STL City because I think what they've accomplished is amazing, and everybody of mine that's gone to those games said the atmosphere is unbelievable. All right, let's go to the phone. Hello, Joshua. Thank you. I appreciate the call. And don't forget, you can always bring by food once we're back actually with the launch. Yeah, tomorrow. All right. Here's one of the 12. One of the 12 listeners. All right. My next topic that I wanted to bring up, and Cam, once you get back, you're running point because I'm not good at this. Um, but I'm going to throw this out because it's been a while. So the Cardinals have sort of turned things around. I know they still have their haters. People don't show up at games, show the ownership that they haven't invested enough money, which I get. Like I've always said, you want to go to a game, you want to boo, I'm fine. You want to not go, that's fine. It's your money. Like if you feel the product isn't good enough for you to spend your money on, I totally get it. It's on the Cardinals to fix that. But I do think most rational fans would agree that this has become a fun team to watch. Now they had two out of three clunkers in Texas. I mean, we hadn't had a clunker in a while, and there were two really bad games. Now, as a rights holder, I would say, in my view, the Cardinals swept that with their level of baseball. Now, it was rough, no question. But here's what I say: I've always been an Ali Marmol fan, not only because he lets me sit in the dugout when it's raining, but also I like what I see from him in terms of how the players feel about him. Back in the day, Grant, with the whole Tyler O'Neill thing, which I'm sure you remember, it was hung on Ali because Ali and Tyler didn't see, and it was like, oh, the players want to play for Ali. Now, sometimes he gives them tough love. They don't like that, but he has a good vibe with this team. They like playing for him. My question is, and then I'm going to ask you first, and I'm going to ask Cam. Uh, Cam, by the way, again had two seafood towers. I don't know, but just collect your stomach and your thoughts. But do you think, Grant, as a young Cardinals fan, that Ali Marmol has turned the page and kind of blunted a lot of the hatred that I used to see flowing for him?
Yeah, I think that you kind of said we were talking before the show is that winning cures all. It doesn't If he goes on and wins for 5 more seasons, no one will remember his first 2 seasons. But I do think there's that underlying, it feels like, let's say, that Diamondbacks game. I remember when the Cardinals came in, bullpen kind of blew it, the offense came back and won. I think we still would have seen it. The Cardinals lose that game. Oh, Ali Marmol, he can't manage a bullpen. He can't do this. So I don't think it's completely turned. I think you have to win for it to turn, which is maybe fair. But I'm kind of in your boat that the hate is a little unwarranted. He can only do so much, it feels like, with some of the teams he's been given. He can't pick who his players are on the team each season. So, yeah, I think that it's quieted down, but I do think if there's that game that the bullpen maybe comes in and implodes a lead, a 5-run lead, let's say, then it's Ali Marmol again. Can't manage the bullpen, can't do this, can't do that.
So you're saying too early, not sustained long enough for him to win over some of his career. I think that's fair.
So.
Now, for the record, Grant, because you don't know Cam that well, he watches hockey, he watches women's softball, then he watches some baseball.
Okay.
So I don't know if Cam's been watching a lot of Cardinal baseball, but do you see them turning the page? Because Cam, well, I'm a rights holder and all that, and I never criticize the Cardinals. Cam will. Cam doesn't care. So give me your take, Cam. Well, but I will say, I think Grant has a point. Like, I'm right for now, but these things change. Like, you go on a 6-game losing streak, and all bets are off. And the truth about Cardinal fans, and I love Cardinal fans because they've been nice to me since day one. But you don't win them over until you win a World Series. Like, they didn't like La Russa. Now he's royalty in this town, right? But they were like, oh, West Coast guy, wine drinker, blah blah blah, and then he wins. So, and I also don't think you can take the measure of a manager, on a deep level, until you see them perform in the postseason, because that's when the pressure is really on. So, would I say that it's TBD? Yes, but I'm saying right now, I don't think he deserved any of the hatred in the early going. People can be mad at the team and hate the way they're playing. I just didn't put it on Holland.
Well, I think interesting to your point too is like in the regular season, he's worried about, oh, I can't throw this guy one more inning because we need him in 5 days. Once you get into the postseason is when it's all bets are off. Helsley can pitch every single day if he has to. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what some fans don't understand either. Why is player X in here? Well, because Helsley can't pitch again. We're worried about we need him in September and October, and we don't want to hurt him in June. So I think that's what some fans don't understand.
Yeah, and he's not going to throw a player under the bus when he can't go today. Go ahead, Cam. You were trying to get in there. So I thought at the beginning of the season that this team would hit enough. My question was, will the starting rotation hold up? You got, Miles Michaelis, who was coming off a couple of rough years, not a kid anymore. You had some other guys that I think were question marks. Could Palante pick it up where he left off last year? He was dominant, for the final month and a half. And I think their bullpen will be fine if they're not destroyed early going by starters not going deep enough. Starting rotation is held up. To me, that's the big. I don't want to say surprise, but first of all, every starting rotation. You think back to spring training every year. Well, we got eight guys in the mix, 9 guys. We got plenty of backup. And you never have enough starting pitching. They have, and guys have held up, which has saved the bullpen, though the bullpen has had some bad moments. Now the bullpen seems to have gotten some traction, and they've had enough offense. Now it comes and goes a little bit. What I like about them is you see a lot of really good at-bats from guys like Donovan, who's having a monster year. Lars Nootbaar walks a lot, has a little pop. And I think Herrera has shown himself to be a really good middle-of-the-order guy. Disappointing, I thought Walker, who now has a wrist issue, and Gorman were keys. Like, one of them had to click in order to make this lineup even more dangerous. We haven't seen it to that point. Doesn't mean it won't happen because they are giving them runway. The funny thing to me about this team is they wanted to give guys runway, and clearly it's a reset. But now they're good, and now they may contend. How does that change the Cardinals' plans? Maybe they're buyers. Maybe they're buyers and sellers. We have to wait and see. A little off, I would say. He changed position of his hands, brought him closer to him. Now he did something else with his hands. I think people forget how young he is, and there's been a lot of guys who have been, major prospects that come up and don't get it going, back down, up and down, and we see him in between with a swing right now. But this guy works. Like, I'll be honest, he was a disaster defensively last year, and now he's okay, right? You're fine with him out there. That shows the work that he put in, and I think that's the kind of work that it'll take for him to get going offensively. People are ready to write him off. He's a kid. I mean, he's got, and now he's, what's that?
23.
23. So I thought you were giving me like,
No,
I thought you were saying
sorry,
I'm number
sorry.
one.
No,
I thought you said I'm number one. No, he's young, so he's got time. But the thing is that they were counting on some of these guys hitting, and it hasn't happened. But there's a lot of other guys up and down that lineup. Like Victor Scott has made him. I know, there's some down times too with his offense. Every hitter has that, but they're doing damage up and down the lineup, and they always seem to come back in some form, which is something we hadn't seen previously. It used to be you're down 3, maybe it's over. This team battles back seemingly every time, even if they don't end up winning the game. There's some kind of pushback. Yeah. What? All right, good. I didn't see it. I know. You tell me. Where do you see that? Are you making that up? No, you're just someone who is easily duped. You're just yeah. Who reported that? Twitter. What crazy seam head 44? Why would Elon Musk be interested? So he just did the Doge thing, right? And the value of his company. Yeah, I like. I'll be honest, where we do a little taste of it. I like cutting waste. I'm for that. Maybe they did take a machete instead of a scalpel, but that's but he did do that, and the value of his company dropped off because he became a target for people that want to be anti-Trump, and so he was took the shrapnel for that, in my opinion, and now his value of his company's down, and now you're saying, hey, the value of Tesla's down. Let me buy a Major League Baseball franchise that I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing because he doesn't seem to be a guy who seems to be very interested in any sort of sports. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me buy a mid-major major league franchise and see how that fares. I just think it's. I think you got duped. I think you got duped. You can't that. So Grant, there was a video a few years ago, maybe the first year of Hot Take Central that Cam and I both saw. It was a little kid, 5, 6 years old, walking carelessly,
Yeah.
frivolously, giddy along the edge of a giant canyon with a drop off of hundreds of feet. And you watch it and you're like, where's the kid's parents? What? And he doesn't look scared. What does he live on a mountain? Like, how could you not be scared? And it looked totally authentic. Sometimes with those videos, you could tell it's real or fake. Then they put out the real one. He was walking along the outside of his picket fence at his house. It was all flat ground, and that's why he looked so frivolous. He was just walking along the lip of where the fence is, and that taught me you can no longer trust your eyes with everything. It's crazy. But once in a while, Cam still takes the bait. Once in a while. No, that. Have you seen some of these AI they're putting on where it looks like it's the real person talking? Like AI, and here's the thing that really scares me about AI. People think if AI says it, it's right. And I asked the access, I think the three, whatever they are, chat,
The Chat GPT.
Grok,
Okay,
and whatever the one on Twitter is.
that's Grok. Yeah.
And there's one other that I found online. And I asked not not run of the mill questions about, I think it was about trade, like I can't remember. And I got three different answers. So people think, well, it came from AI, it must be right. I asked them also a baseball question, a stat question, just to test off the beaten path stat to see if they could find it. Three different answers. So we're not to the point where you can just take AI, in my opinion. Well, AI said it. Well, ask it a different way. Maybe you get a different answer. Or ask another AI. You're going to get a different answer for, fairly complex questions. So we're not there, but they can make video that looks like the real thing, and that kind of scares the crap out of Why do you sweat so much, Cam? Oh, number one question of politically tied. Uh, why are my taxes so high? Because that's what I would ask. I'm not kidding you. Why am I? Are you kidding me with the taxes? That's what I would ask. Well, what is it? Interesting. Yeah, but they said they don't have the actual video of him killing himself. He said they had video of no one going in and out. So, look,
Could be AI.
it could, or it could be that, or it could be they. Look, it's the FBI, whoever it is, they can do whatever they want to do. I think we all agree on that. But I will say this, like, and I veer toward being a conservative. But if you're Dan Bongino and Pete Hesketh, that's Hexeth, if you're those guys, and you basically run on saying we'll get the answers to this, we're gonna do this, and then you don't, that's on you. So you said you promised you were gonna blow the lid off this stuff, and you haven't. So, hey, Rock,
Thank you.
are you gonna join us or no? Because I have some questions for you, and so does Cam. But Grant, you can sit here. Grant, you don't give up the seat.
No, I won't.
All right.
I'll let Rock choose where he wants to sit.
No, you're gonna stay there.
No, I know. I mean, in
Yeah.
one of these.
Okay. Because if you have a mic and you're a young guy, don't give it up unless they take it away from you. Look at Rock. He's a big guy. They tried to take the mic. And to be quite honest, when he first started, he didn't belong on the mic. And now he's Rocky.
I didn't belong on the mic when I first
Yeah.
started.
He's chair or
Yeah.
share.
Is that like because? Thank you, Cam. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we were talking earlier.
I heard.
And Rock, was that okay? Was that
Yeah, it's
fair?
fine. Yeah.
Rock. Oh, I'm not calling you Rocky because I have some bad memories of someone who self-imposed the nickname Rock.
I would never do that.
But we were just kind of talking about the future going forward for people just listening now. This is Hot Take Central 2.0 for today. It's with Cam. Grant is sitting in the board op position for today. Cam just had some seafood and had some bad reaction, but he's on the phone, and Matt Rocchio will be our board op and compatriot because the board op has become another sounding board, right? It's not just, you're not just a board op, you're part of the show. So my thing was, Cam has been to City STL, right? He's been there. I'm a fan of it. I shook hands with Pele. Did you?
No, I've never shook hands.
Okay, I shook hands with Pele.
Wow.
Okay, so I have a soccer pedigree, and one year to get in shape for lacrosse, I played summer league soccer. So my pedigree for soccer runs deep, but we will not. Someone didn't turn off their phone.
Tolerates phones ringing.
Someone did not turn off their ringer.
Was that yours?
Yeah, it was mine.
Oh,
Of course it was mine. No, that's my phone.
that's
Ring.
crazy that's your ringtone.
That's what my kid says. Why?
Because that's like the universal alarm sound.
Well, let's not get too far away from the sanctimonious rant.
Yeah, let me get back to that. But yeah, this was me, many years as a broadcaster, leaving my ringer on. But let's get back to Rocky. So what we will not do is break down every intricacy of the schematics that you see that you put on the Twitter tweets.
Well, yeah, that's what the Twitter is for. That's not what the show's for.
All right, good. Because you do a lot of stuff, and I'm like, man, that's a lengthy tweet. I get it. I mean, I don't get it, but I appreciate the emotion. I appreciate the dedication.
See, I'm trying to impart. I know I'm trying to impart knowledge Not emotion.
But it just seems to me, and this is a shot, I just think it's funny. Take shots at me if it's funny too. But I do think it's funny. You impart like a nine piece tweet. You got to tweet back at yourself because you got no response.
I mean, is that why I'm tweeting back at myself?
Yeah.
I think it's because I just have another point.
All right.
I just can't stop talking. That's that. I mean, that's a problem in and of itself.
I look forward to having you in that chair. Not that Grant, you're good too. You might be too smart for this business. No, you might be too smart for this business. But I look forward to that. What the hell? Royalty just walked in.
My
Slaves. No, you better come on the air. If you say no, we got a problem. And I know you're a bad. Take that mic. Switch it around.
So angry. He doesn't have his headphones on yet.
You can't hear you yet, Cam.
You want to hear Cam or not? It's up to you.
We have headphones right there for you.
Dave Green just bought headphones off Amazon last night, and they're here. Thank you, Dave Green.
Where's he at? Cam is at Acapulco?
Acapulco.
Hold on, Cam. Give me a second.
And Claves is like part owner of the hub, so we have to treat him with respect.
Cam, how are you, man? No, I'm a Florida guy. I mean, but you know, Scottsdale, I have no problem with it. But the problem, well, it's more of a concern that, you know, in the wintertime, you have to probably wear a sweater or a coat. You know, in Florida, probably still wear the same pair of shorts. No state taxes. Yeah. There you go. Oh yeah, I like to go about 30 years ago. I like to go hang out on campus for a little bit. I will say this: they have as good a talent pool as anyone. Period. Yeah. Well, we have an off day today, and I'm just trying to move around town, do a few things, go get the dog, and get some stuff done around the house. Came through here. I'm gonna do a podcast here in just a bit, and just trying to enjoy the day, making a decision on what I'm gonna do for dinner tonight. And what name did we pull out of the hat? Yeah, that's a good call. I might be in that vicinity anyway, so that might be a good call. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Too far.
Well, it depends on where I'm. Like I said, I knew people out there. I might just.
How about Giantoni's on the hill? My favorite place.
Giantoni's is good. Are they closed?
I hope not. Haven't been in a while.
Yeah, I know one of them was closed.
Let me ask you something aside from your dinner plans.
All right.
We were just talking about one of your favorite people, Ollie Marmol.
Yeah.
And the way the Cardinals, and we have to put the stipulation that we're still pretty much early in the season, right?
Yeah, we're not the flag day.
Not the flag day, which is your thing. I would
Right.
say, when do we start looking at the standings
June
flag
14th.
day? So we're not there yet, but we're getting
We're getting
close.
close.
But we've seen
Up things.
even the folks that are still not ready to proclaim the Cardinals as contenders. I think a lot of them would have to admit this is a fun team to watch. My question is, Ollie Marmol, I think, took a lot of unjustified heat. I know he's one of your favorite guys. I think he's starting
One
to
of
win.
yours too.
Yeah, mine too. I said that. He let me sit in the dugout the other day, right? I think he's winning over even some of his critics right now. Do you agree
I
with
would
that?
agree with you, and I think as a manager, he's really made some strides. Now remember, he managed in the minors and was successful there, but that big league thing, it's a whole lot more moving parts, and he is very comfortable with his direction. He has a very good coaching staff, and I think these days, if you don't have coaches that understand what they're there for and how they are able to do their thing, and Ollie's a guy that will check in on. He won't just turn it over to you. He'll check in and make sure it's done the right way. I like where they're headed. I like what he's doing. he has the belief of his team. And, we've had some situations where he had to make some, maybe in some corners of clubhouse, some unpopular decisions, but it was the right one. And so I think he has the trust of the team, and I think they trust him.
I want to introduce you to this as Grant Salzman.
Hello.
Congratulations. I just heard you graduate.
I did.
All right.
2 weeks ago.
He's a young guy, and he wants to be in broadcasting,
Well,
but he wanted to meet royalty.
I did.
He
I
said,
got to.
he told me, he said, I think I heard of Cam. I don't know who you are, but I'm Grant.
Cam's
now-
more famous than anybody.
Wow, but you're up there too. So you're now speaking with Mike Clayton.
So are you from St. Louis?
I am. I'm from St. Louis.
Okay, groovy. All right. Well, let me give you
Groovy.
some
He
advice.
said groovy.
Get out of this business.
No, I just started.
No, you'll be fine. It's just changed. It's changed a lot. It's changed. When you say it's changed since when you first started,
Oh my goodness, yeah.
it's changed a lot for me. Rock, I know it's changed for you.
Yeah, and that's only been, it's been 11 years and it's changed a lot in just
Dave
that short
Reed
time.
has changed for him. So, but that's what makes it fun.
Yeah. I've seen the full gamut of it all, and it's a fun business, but
No 2 days are alike.
I'll agree with these guys. If you can go to law school, just do that.
Then they'll tell you, you don't. But I only tell people who want to do this, learn how to work hard at having fun.
I like
do that, then everybody be satisfied.
You know what I tell him? Read and learn to write. Because you could be a
Yes.
great looking dude. You could sound great. You could be glib. But there's going to be time along the way where you might have to write a story. You never know what the road is going to be. And I don't think people write. Like, they depend on AI or autocorrect or all that stuff. Like, you have to learn, because even if you're doing like a short thing, there's a beginning, middle, end. You learn that basics writing. And if you read stories, newspaper stories, or articles online, some of it gets in. I think that's a lost art, writing, being able to.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree with you. We take that too much for granted. And the other thing I think that happens in our business, I don't think people listen. They formulate their own statement, and they want you to agree with what they say. Or if a coach is talking to you about a second line guy, and then, by the way, this guy got appendicitis, and you just go on to the next thing, and you miss a good story. But I think the ones that really bug me, and you see it on a daily basis, is when you're in a media scrum, and there's only like 3 people who are willing to ask a question, and then there's one person who will ask the same question 4 different ways. And the other one is when the scrum is over with, there's always 2 or 3 people who want to stay back and play what I call media grab ass. They got nothing else. They just want to just feel like they can cozy up to a player or a coach. And you're there to work. You're doing a courtesy to talk to them for 5-10 minutes, and they want to stand around. So what's going on? Things that have nothing to do with anything.
So I have yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, right. You know what though? Here, I'll tell you, Cam. What I see is guys who don't know how to ask questions. It's always, boys play good, eh? What am I supposed to say? And I don't hear as many questions, and I'm guilty of it as well. I try to think about it a little bit more, but I think depending on the individual, when you want to get that answer, the answer you're hoping for, there's a better way than asking it three times, or I would do this. I would try and find somebody else I could ask about a certain play or whatever. And then maybe if they give me a pertinent answer, then that answer I can go back and ask with that in mind, asking the main character what I wanted to ask him in the first place.
You know what I think the key is? You got to know the room.
Yes.
So I was just talking to this one of the big bosses at FanDuel about this. Like, there are better ways to ask questions, and every reporter should be conscious of that. However, if you know how a certain player, because you've covered them before, is going to respond to asking it the right way, you try something different. And also the pushback where you're trying to get something, you know what guys you have to kind of dig, and you know what, and you know what guys also will immediately shut you down when they sniff out that
Where
you're
you
trying to
going?
ask,
Yeah.
right? So it's sort of reading the room. But I agree with you. One of the worst things, especially if you're doing on-field interviews, like, I'm here with
Take it
so
too
and so.
long?
No, never too long. He says I take too long. They're about a minute 40 every time. But claims that I ask them about third grade and what their art project was,
Yeah.
and then reminisce a little. But I see this sometimes. Like, you're on the field with someone. It could be any sport, and let's say it's baseball, and they had a homer and 4 RBIs, and you're seeing the ball really. What's clicking? And they go, "Well, I just killed a guy, and on the
Right.
way in, I hit him with my car." And then you go, "Now, how about the pitching?"
Exactly.
Like you weren't
You gotta pay
listening.
attention.
Like you weren't listening.
I agree.
They sometimes present you a better line of questioning if you're listening to accept that. So. Yes.
Mm-hmm. No. It should be. It should be. And body language can tell you a lot too. And how when you pose a question to them, maybe it's one they're uncomfortable with, or maybe it's one like, man, I'm glad you asked me that because I got something to say about that. So it just, again, like Jim said, you got to read the room, feel the body language, and just see where it takes you. But and I'm not a guy who likes to have a list of questions in that kind of situation. You kind of read the person, and sometimes you get good stuff, and sometimes you're like, you can't wait for this to be over, because I wouldn't say I get mad, maybe disappointed. I don't, I don't hold against them, just like I don't hold against them when they don't want to talk. Normally in our cases, what Jim and I do after a game, you're interviewing a guy who's on a winning team. 98% of those guys are more than happy to do it because they see us around and they know we're going to ask them questions. It's not like a gotcha moment. Then you're going to have a couple of guys say, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And you want to say, well, why, man? And then you say, that's all right. There's tomorrow and there's 26 other guys I'd rather talk.
Right. And I think there's some guys too. I put Holiday on that list. Contreras, I think, is hesitant to do it, though he'll do it. They just hate talking about themselves, right?
Goldie, don't forget about Goldschmidt.
Goldie, you're right.
He was,
yeah, you're right. So I mean, there's certain guys, even if you got to get some content out of them, you have to approach it by not saying, "Hey, you're hitting great. Why?" You're not. They're going to shut you down. Because Goldie would just go, I barrel the ball. But you can get other good stuff if you go from a different angle. So again, that's about, I think, reading the room.
When I think about this current team, and we had a situation the other night, Brendan Donovan, I chose him to start a game, and you chose Mason Wynn. So Brendan was like, man, you gotta be talking to Mason, man. He had 4. They want to pass it on, but they understand, what, if you thought enough to ask me, I will give you good. And Brendan is a classy person. And he's one of the favorites for the media and just people. I mean, we've been lucky in St. Louis, in most sports where we've had quality people. You pick the sport and I can give you a quality individual. But I think Brendan kind of really is the face of what that stands for with regard to the Cardinals. And, but he wanted to pump his teammates' tires. And I said, I'll get him, don't worry about it. But here you are. And,
and he had a great game, too.
Yeah, he had 3 hits that night.
He had a homer.
Yeah, he's third in the league in hitting. So, I mean, what can you say?
The other night I grabbed him, and it was pouring. And and he's like, Jim, it's raining. And I go, well, I got an umbrella. And I go, Brendan, it's my job. You think I want to stand? He's like, you're right. And he's just a good dude,
Yeah.
you know. We couldn't do the shot in the dugout because there's too many people in there. You're all comfy cozy in the dugout doing
Well, I
your
had a
interview.
handheld recorder,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I was in good shape.
And then I had a guy holding the umbrella for us, and I put the picture out. The guy who works for FanDuel covered me with most of the umbrella, and then had a little bit of coverage for Brendan Donovan because you have to keep the sideline guy dry.
Hey, Cam, I have a question for you. You've been at this a long time. Who were some of the better people that interviewed you, and why did you like talking to them? Oh boy, yeah. Mhm. Mike Yo. Mike Yo. No, no. The guy coach. He coached up in Minnesota. Andy Murray. Yeah. Yeah. I remember that. Well, right. I remember that. Yeah. He basically. Yeah. It was. I was surprised that a coach would fire back. In that situation, man, you got to move on. You got to take the high ground. And in your case, you just explained. Well, but you explained what you saw. And let's face it, man. If you're not transparent with your players and letting them know where they stand, and if they have to try and figure it out without somebody talking to them exclusively, then they're gonna have a problem. You can't assume anything. And I didn't think he was a good communicator. Now with the media, he was okay. He always had some sort of safe answer. I won't say he wasn't Ken Hitchcock or somebody like that who was really putting thought into it. But he was just yeah, exactly. Mo's the best right now. But I thought Murray gave you just enough to say okay. But when he responded to what you said, and I think most people would have read through what you were saying, it wasn't that you were bashing him. He took it personal, and threw out the fourth line, and I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna play that game now, huh? Okay. Yeah.
Kicks. Yep. It's context too. Oh, thanks. It's context. You remember, and we got to wrap soon, but I remember there was that thing where they were trying to make Matheny or Bud Norris look like awful guys, and they took a quote from Jordan Hicks, who, when he was a young player, would say no comment a lot, only because, and I liked him. He's a good kid, but he would say no comment because he didn't know how to answer it.
He was 20 years old,
Right.
dealing with a grown man situation, and that was the safest thing for him to say.
And he had said that about a number of things, if you recall, at spring training, even in the clubhouse, where he wasn't sure how to answer it. It was no way that's the answer he gave when he didn't know what to say. So in an article, they took that no comment. Oh, Hicks said no comment. It must mean he's hiding something. Except, I think when they asked him if he likes hot weather, he said no comment. Like he would say no comment a lot. So it's about context. Do we got to wrap it here?
You got about 3.5 minutes.
All right.
I'll let you guys do your thing.
Claves, thank you.
Good seeing. Can't wait to see you, my friend. We'll get together. You have no excuses. We're gonna find each other this summer. All right, man. Looking forward to it. All right, my friend. Take care.
He's going to see you at a Cardinals game, he says. He says. That's fine. That's fine. I look forward to it. Rock, before we split, you're going to be in that chair. By the way, Grant, you did a fine job. Honestly, I think you might be too smart for this business. But Rock, here's what I was wondering this, because you got your own thing. Like you are now a brand. Rocky, you are.
I'm trying to keep it that way, yeah.
No, but that's praise.
Let's go.
When they said, hey, do you want to work with these guys? Honestly, be honest. It could be brutally honest. You could rip me. What were your first thoughts when they said, hey, we want you to sit with these two guys?
I was extremely excited.
Really?
100%. Yeah, because here's the thing. I don't get to deal with a lot of people anymore in my life who test me the way that you do. And I grew up with a lot of people in my life.
Is that praise?
I grew up with 20 older cousins. And my parents' friends were all people who, if I said something dumb, even as a child, it was not just a passing thing I was ridiculed for that. And so from the get-go, it was bring facts and be ready to go back and forth if you're going to bring something with a little opinion or argumentative behind it. And a lot of people in my life are usually answer me with, why are you arguing about this? Why do you want to do this? You, on the other hand, not only respond to my arguments, but you start many as well. And so it's perfect.
Good.
Couldn't be happier.
And the truth is, I'll say as many dumb things as anyone. So I hope I get called on that. All right. So we're going to wrap things up. Rock, I don't know if you heard this part. I guess I'm going to call you Rock because I'm
No. I heard this.
I'm a dummy. You're
I heard this.
Rockio.
Yes, I heard this right off the bat. I actually prefer the full last name as opposed to the shortened just Rock. I actually prefer the full last name.
Okay, Rockio.
Yes.
So this isn't our launch. This is our pre-launch.
Yes, I know that. Yes.
All right. So Cam, any parting words before we wrap her up for the pre-launch? All right, Grant, thank you for sitting in again. I think you did a fine job. You seem like a smart young man. That's going to do it for the pre-launch edition of Hot Take Central 2.0. Starting tomorrow, it's just going to be Hot Take Central, unless Dave Green tells us differently. And we're proud to be part of the Lou Information Station, live on demand at louinfo.com. We'll see you all tomorrow.
There it is.
Thank you, boys.
Good job, Jimmy.
Station.
Listen to the crowd.
Streaming 24/7.
Listen to the crowd.
Thank you. They can't stop. They can't stop. They can't stop.
There's a new way to travel, and it's
Thank
one
you.
of the
That was
oldest
fun.
forms
That
of
was nice.
Good to have you
transportation.
back.
Travel by train.
And
Yes,
I
consider
don't forget,
traveling
I
around the United
appreciate
States
the
on
opportunity.
Amtrak. Traveling by train is a lot less of a headache than taking a plane.
by the
And
way,
you'd be surprised how many
I have
places
proof.
you can go on an
And I was not
Amtrak.
lying.
And there's no
You are on my
passports
list.
or IDs needed.
That
Find
says,
out
"Hey,
how to get where
Jimmy."
you're
Oh.
going as soon as
I believe
tomorrow
you.
by train.
No.
Call the Amtrak Travel
No, I
Hotline
didn't.
right
You're not
now.
Randy Merkel.
We'll book your trip
Did he
and
come on
email
the
your
show?
tickets within
He
minutes.
did not.
Skip the drive to the airport and skip the
yes,
lines. Call right now to book your Amtrak reservations. We service most of the United States.
All aboard!
do something new. Travel by Amtrak today.
800-428-9517. 800-428-9517.
Someone coming in, you're good.
428-9517. That's 800-428-9517.
Start your summer with
Now
a
this
weekend
looks like
showdown.
KFNS.
Shohei Ohtani.
This is the old
Los
days.
Angeles Dodgers
Johnny,
go into
this
Busch
is the old
Stadium
days of
June
KFNS.
Hold
on, cut that in half.
Ready for a cool new
Don't be
donut.
greedy.
Donut.
Yeah.
Cardinals
That's our
Net
first
fans.
donut.
Perfect for hot game days. And on
Oh,
Sunday,
you want
Met
ants?
fans 1,500 take home a Rollins Kids Glove. It's a weekend
No,
of big matchups
a
and big
cable
giveaways.
that
Get your
has
tickets now at
3.
cardinals.com/promotions.
Yeah, because that has the well, we need a little sound card for that.
Hey
You know
parents,
how like the
looking for
little phone,
something
like a
fun
phone
and
headset?
unforgettable to do with
Because
the
it does
kids? Bring the
left,
whole
right,
family
and
to the Cardinals
microphone.
game at
That-
Busch Stadium.
that
From
computer only
kid-friendly
has the
activities
little
and
one
giveaways
jack.
to awesome promotions like kids run the bases.
We can
Use
use that,
little
or we
ones
can get like a
to
little
have wax,
shitty
and
sound
so
card
will
for
you.
it.
Check out
$20
Family Sunday,
sound card or
presented by
something.
Smithfield, where
We'll
select
find.
kids
I'm
receive
digging around
free
trying to
jumbo
find
hot
it.
dogs and soda. There's
Oh, if I
nothing
have
like
my
sharing the
headphones.
magic of Cardinals baseball together. Make your memories this summer at Busch Stadium. Tickets are available at
if you are just getting,
cardinals.com.
you know, like you're getting.
What are you so happy about? I'm on the pill. Aren't you two a bit old to worry about having more kids? Not her, me. You lost me there, buddy. Steelman pills. Things weren't
Yeah,
always
it's just
looking out that you catch my drift. So my doctor
So I'm
prescribed
on
me a
it.
little something. Like Viagra? Yeah, but that's
You're on it.
expensive,
I know
and it
you're not
wasn't
on it.
covered by my insurance. Steelman pills cost me less than $3 a pill, and virtually the same
Oh,
effect.
that's
the
I
camera.
just
Okay, so
called
we
and
can-
got over 40 pills for only
we can
$99.
get an extender.
I have this friend who might be looking.
Yeah.
Well, if your friend wants some help, the consultation is free over the phone. No clinic. Steelman Pill sends it in the mail in a confidential package. I'm on it.
There's gotta be somebody.
my
There's gotta be
friend-
something around here. Like I'm
Steelman
doing like.
Pills. Going the extra mile to help
Shit
men with
everywhere.
erectile
There's gotta be-
dysfunction.
800-915-9371. 800-915-9371.
Connected.
800-915-9371. That's 800-915-9371.
This
The
one,
Lee Information
I'm
Station,
unsure about this.
or as our friends call
Are you
us,
talking about
the
this
Big
or-
590. They call us that because we are big, man. Like really freaking big. So big. Look how big we are, swinging back and forth. We are so big.
Thank you.
specialized international airlines, and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rates you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now.
Welcome in on this beautiful Monday morning. Grant Salzman here with you. M-I-Z-Z-O-U is the show. I'm joined by former Missouri Tiger Vic Faust. Vic, how are you? Yes, all things the University of Missouri. After this segment around 10:20, Ken Dubinsky is going to join us. He's kind of in charge of the chip NIL deals you'll see around Schnucks, around St. Louis. Luther Burden's a part of it. Mark Mitchell's a part of it. And then around 10:40, Colin McAndrew of the Columbia Tribune's going to join me after Vic has to go to talk about Mizzou's offseason. But Vic, I want to start with you. Why don't you tell the listeners of the Lou Information Station, kind of your history with the Missouri Tigers, a long story history. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the flea kicker. I believe it was Scott Frost who was part of that. Am I correct there? Yeah. So what we're going to be doing here on the Lou Information Station is just kind of trying to bring you through Mizzou, all things Mizzou sports. Obviously, in the fall, kind of this summer, we'll probably be doing a lot of previewing for basketball and football. And then once the fall hits, it's football, and then it rolls right into basketball. So there will be a lot of content about Mizzou. I think our time slot's perfect. Every week from 10 to 11 on Monday, we'll have the instant reaction from the weekend. We'll be the first to talk about the Mizzou football game from the weekend, and once basketball starts, that Saturday basketball game into the midweek basketball game. So I think we're at the perfect time here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And something I'll say about the NIL, and you kind of, I feel like, alluded to it a little bit.
Yes, off the field, things change, and things have changed off the field. But when those 60 minutes, when you have the helmets and shoulder pads on, nothing changes. You know what? I don't feel any less excited about a Missouri win because all the things going on outside of college football. You know, like the wins feel just as good. The traditions are just as good. It's just enhanced a little bit of how the rosters are put together. But for those 60 minutes every Saturday, nothing really has changed.
Really is on a good path. I'm a Brady Cook homie. I'm a Brady Cook slappy. I love the kid. I love what he was able to will. I love the respect that he had for his teammates. I love going to games over the last 3 years where there's lines to get into the games. I mean, people are excited to go there. Obviously, on the other side of the state, there's the Chiefs, and there's a lot of people in the St. Louis area that make the trek over there. I have no problem with the Chiefs. I don't, go and support and get all goo goo gaga over the Chiefs, but I have no problem with other people that do. You have the University of Missouri sitting right there. It is a good time. It is a fun time. It is a terrific place to tailgate. You're treated well. It's not far from the St. Louis metropolitan area. And when they're winning, my gosh, is it a great place to be. So, yeah, the winning takes care of itself. Obviously, everybody works hard in this day and age. You have to have talent. We saw that with some of the Missouri recruits that they've been able to bring in. You have to have talent. You have to have talent because most of the time now, everybody's working hard. Every team, South Carolina's working hard. You saw how close that game was last year.
Yeah, Andy.
Mizzou had it won. Vandy, you know, and then they're going to have, what, a 6th, 7th-year quarterback coming back next year.
Diego's back.
Everything is changing. It's interesting how fast it's changing, too. I was talking to a former, not to get too long-winded here, I was talking to a former teammate of mine who played in the NFL for a while. He was also strength director of the year at Mizzou a couple times. His name's Pat Ivey. Pat is now an assistant athletic director at Louisville. That's kind of going through a recruiting process right now. I'm like, do you guys really know? I mean, do you have a handle on what's going on? And this alludes to our next segment coming up. And he's like, Vic, we're learning week to week. He's like, literally, there's so many things that are changing, not only in the game and how we recruit kids, but the future of the game and what happens with walk-ons and how are we paying and using money here and are we keeping kids? Everything has changed, which is why at one point I'll give you my opinion of how I think Eli Drinkwitz and his staff has done when it comes to the ever-changing times.
Yeah, things have changed. It feels like Eli Drinkwitz was on, or Missouri as a whole was kind of on the forefront of that. But to the ever-changing times, these 4 years, I mean, I'll give a little bit of back history on myself. I graduated from Mizzou 2 weeks ago. So I was kind of in the 4 years where it really felt like that change was happening. You know, my first two, they weren't great, 6-6.
My brother, you're living some of the best years.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden we get blessed with back-to-back 10-win seasons. And I think the beauty about it is that's the expectation. I want to make a point to another one of your points is St. Louis needs to come support this team. I think we've seen it more. Because think about, when you think about the best college towns, college atmospheres, it's Alabama, Oklahoma, Nebraska. None of those schools have, or none of those states, areas have professional sports. Football. Yeah. Exactly. And no NFL teams are in that area. St. Louis, bring all that support, obviously bring it out of luck, but we'll bring it to Missouri. An hour and 32 hours, depending where you're at. That's what I think they've been doing a good job of. You know, they played in St. Louis, and it don't look packed for Missouri versus Memphis a couple of years ago. So I think that is, yeah, that Memphis team was better than people think before the quarterback got hurt. But yeah, I think that that's what we've kind of seen over the years with the winning the last few years. St. Louis and Kansas City are starting to come a little more around to Columbia.
I think it's getting better. And winning helps that. It's difficult. It's just how we are in St. Louis. If you're not winning, you aren't going to make it.
Yeah.
But this is a team that has been winning. This is a team that has invested in the and we're talking about year after year after year. And you know what? People make assessments on
Yeah, I agree with that. So we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, Tim Vincent of Haystack Sourcing, he's kind of in charge of the chips and helped out with Luther Burdens being on those chips in here. He's going to talk to us a little bit more about NIL and how Mizzou has kind of gone about that. So stay tuned here. This is MIVDOU on the Loop Information Station.
Be careful. He's not connected with me.
Yeah, yeah.